They think silence is weakness. I know it's the quietest form of power. I wasn't born quiet. I used to fill every space with words, explaining, defending, trying to be understood. It felt like survival. Like if I spoke enough, they would finally see me. But every confession became a nail in my own coffin. Every explanation gave them a map to my softest places. You stand opposite me now, restless, needing noise to feel alive. You prod, you ask, you tilt your head just like she once did, fishing for openings, waiting for me to slip. Your smile hides a hunger, and I can see it because I've learned to see everything. I wrestle between my old urge to defend myself and the colder choice, to say nothing, to watch. It burns at first. The air feels heavy with what I don't release. But that heaviness is mine. It's leverage, Machiavelli's hidden law of silence. True control begins when you stop feeding their hunger for reactions. Words are currency, and every answer you give is a transaction you can never reverse. I learned this law the hard way. I remember her eyes lighting up at my confessions, the way she cataloged my sentences like weapons. I remember enemies smiling faintly as I spoke because I was unknowingly arming them. Silence became my rebellion. Now I watch for the signs. The pause after a question, the flicker in the eyes when no answer comes, the quick smile fading when my lips stay sealed. There's a strange music in it, a rhythm of restraint, and in that rhythm, power shifts. Never give them your breath for free. Every answer you offer is a weapon in their hands. Hold your words. Let them wonder. Let them build stories in the void you create. In that void, you are no longer predictable. You become dangerous. My turning point came when I watched her lose patience. No accusation landed because my lips stayed sealed. No confession bound me to her game. It was the first time I felt untouchable. Silence will feel unnatural at first. It will itch under your skin. But watch how it turns their curiosity into fear, how it turns their hunger into your shield. In that stillness, you begin to master the darkest power of all. In the beginning, I believed speaking was survival. I was wrong. I thought if I explained enough, my motives, my past, my mistakes, someone would finally understand me. I mistook noise for connection. I mistook confessions for intimacy, and for a time it felt like it worked. Her smile was soft, her voice patient. She leaned in when I spoke, eyes glittering like someone witnessing a hidden treasure being unearthed. I mistook that glitter for love. I am the man who once overshared. She was the woman who studied my stories like maps to conquer me. You are me before the awakening, still filling rooms with noise, still pouring yourself into people who are silently cataloging every drop. Inside me lived a craving to explain myself, to justify, to be seen as good. Outside me moved her delicate manipulations, the small tilts of her head, the well-placed questions, the friends who smiled as they extracted my secrets and left me emptier each time. I remember the nights most clearly, long hours where my words spilled out like a confession to a priest. I told her about my fears, my failures, the wounds that still burned. I thought honesty made me noble. But mornings came cold. I watched her use my truths to tighten her grip, casual references to what I'd confessed, playful barbs that cut precisely where it hurt. It was never overt, never enough to accuse, just enough to remind me that she knew. Machiavelli wrote that information withheld is power multiplied. Words reveal, silence conceals. The darkest power is not in what you say, but in what you keep. I did not understand this law until my words had already become chains. When I spoke, she mapped me. When I fell silent, the map blurred. The first time I answered one of her questions with a slow look instead of a story, she blinked. The second time she laughed too loudly, as though to mask something cracking. Patterns became obvious once I stopped drowning in noise. Her sudden compliments when I spoke too freely. Her subtle frustration when I didn't. Friends leaning closer when I fell silent, their smiles turning brittle when I refused to react. There is a quiet after your refusal to perform, a silence heavy enough to shift the air in the room. That quiet is not awkwardness. It is control being rebalanced. Test it, I tell you. Say nothing. Let them scramble to fill the gap. Watch how control shifts. Most people cannot tolerate the emptiness of a pause. They rush to fill it with their own disclosures. They reveal themselves to escape the tension you leave hanging. In that moment, you're no longer prey. You're the mirror. The day I truly stopped explaining, everything changed. She asked a question designed to make me justify myself. I gave her only a calm look. Her voice cracked. Her charm faltered. For a heartbeat, her mask slipped and I saw the calculation behind her smile. That was the moment my silence became a mirror reflecting her intentions. No longer a man explaining himself, I became a man she could not read. It felt strange at first, like holding my breath underwater. Every cell screamed to speak, to clear the air, to smooth the discomfort. But discomfort is the price of power. Each unspoken sentence built a wall between my vulnerability and her reach. In that wall, I began to hear my own voice, not the noise I used to project, but the deeper sound of self-control. I'll show you, I promise. The steps to turn silence from an awkward pause into a weapon they can't defend against. It begins with a single act, withholding. One unanswered question, one withheld confession, one pause held just a second too long. You'll see them shift. You'll see their hunger become their weakness. And in that stillness, you'll feel something new. Your own strength returning piece by piece in the quiet you've chosen. This is the groundwork. The slow unlearning of survival is noise, the quiet construction of a power they don't see coming. You are not invisible when you're silent. You are unreadable, and unreadable is untouchable. Silence doesn't just protect you, it changes you. At first it feels like exile, a punishment you've imposed on yourself. You sit across from me now, learning the discipline of stillness, your eyes darting, your fingers twitching. I recognize that restlessness because it once lived in me. She hovers in memory, still trying to pull words from my locked mouth, her questions echoing like a siren you're trying not to follow. Inside me, there was a war. One side craved to explain, to defend, to justify. The other side, new, colder, steadier, wanted only to observe. Each time I chose silence, the craving screamed louder. My jaw clenched, my fists curled under the table, my heartbeat thudded like a drum. The urge to break, to speak, to relieve the tension was overwhelming. But with every moment I held back, something else began to form. A spine I'd never had. A hidden steel threading itself through me. This is the law of emotional discipline. Silence as self-mastery before it becomes social mastery. People think power begins when others bend, but it begins inside, with the bending of your own impulses. Before silence can be a weapon, it must be a practice, a fire you walk through until it no longer burns. I remember how it burned me, sitting across from her, my tongue heavy with unspoken answers. She'd ask questions laced with sweetness, then wait. The seconds stretched. My muscles tensed as if holding back a flood. In those first attempts, my silence wasn't graceful. It was shaking, brittle, barely held together. But each restraint laid another brick in a fortress I was building for myself. I began to see patterns I'd missed before. The tremor in her hands when my answers shrank. The quick blink, the forced smile, the way her voice rose just a fraction to break the stillness. People talk faster when you don't respond. They fill the void with their own words, their own disclosures. They tell on themselves to escape the tension you create, and all you have to do is stay still and watch. The silence thickened like a storm before rain. It carried weight. It made every movement in the room sharper, every sound more revealing. I could feel my own heartbeat slowing, my breathing evening out, as if my body was catching up to a calmer mind. That calm was power. Not loud, not obvious. Power like deep water. Feel the discomfort, I tell you. Let it pass. Don't rush to soothe it with words. On the other side is a control you've never known. You think the control is over them. It isn't. It's over you. When you master your own reflex to explain, you become unreadable. And unreadable is untouchable. The first night I didn't reply to her midnight texts was my true initiation. The phone lit up, her name glowing on the screen, messages stacking one after another. My thumb hovered over the keyboard, every nerve screaming to type something, anything to make the unease go away. I didn't. I put the phone face down and let the silence answer for me. Hours passed. The world didn't end. In the morning I felt different, taller inside myself. Her charm no longer had the same pull. My need to appease had weakened. That single act, no reply, was more powerful than 1,000 arguments. It was a declaration she could feel but not confront. There is no counterattack for a message unsent, no defense against a void. Silence became not just a shield but a mirror. In it, she had to face her own intentions, her own impatience without me feeding the story. You sit there now, shifting under the weight of your own unspoken words. I know it's uncomfortable. It's supposed to be. It's the sign you're doing it right. Each second you resist speaking is another link in the chain of self-control you're forging. When that chain is strong enough, you won't need to grip it. It will hold you. In the next step, I'll teach you how silence moves from self-control to tactical dominance, how to turn this internal mastery outward so the very air around you becomes your strategy. For now, breathe, stay still. Let the silence work on you as it once worked on me. This is where transformation begins, not in their reaction, but in your restraint. Silence is not absence. It's presence without surrender. By now you've tasted the first edge of it, the burn of holding back, the slow forming of a spine inside you. But discipline without direction is only stillness. What I offer you now is strategy. You sit like a soldier being briefed before war, shoulders tight, eyes locked. I, the strategist, speak softly, because soft words carry further when the room is tense. Inside me there is still the desire to speak, to fill the room, to prove. But I have a plan now, and the plan controls the desire. Outside their pressure rises, questions, accusations, manipulations. But I hold my calm like a shield. It's not passivity. It's a stance, a positioning. Every pause is a placement on the board. This is the law of tactical silence. Withdrawal, mirroring, timing. Silence isn't only about not talking. It's about how you hold space. Think of it as a chess move. You step back not to retreat, but to open the board. You let them advance into emptiness. You let them show their hand before you lift yours. Step 1. Delay your reply. Not minutes, hours. If you're used to answering immediately, this will feel like breaking a rule. Good. Break it. When a message arrives, breathe. Let it sit. The pause becomes a message of its own. I am not at your disposal. The weight of your eventual response multiplies because of the waiting. Step 2. Mirror their energy, but subtract words. If they're sharp, be cool. If they're warm, be still. Give less than they give. This imbalance makes them work harder to reach you. They lean forward when you lean back. Their questions grow sharper when your answers slow down. You create a hunger, and hunger bends people. Step 3. Use pauses as traps. In conversation, don't rush to fill the gap. Let the silence bloom. Most people can't stand it. They'll reveal their motives just to break the tension. A well-placed pause can expose more than any direct question. It's not a void. It's an active force. Step 4. Strike with a single line when it matters. Silence amplifies the weight of the next thing you do say. After long restraint, one sentence can land like a hammer. Make it precise. Make it cold. Don't waste it on explanation. Use it for direction or revelation. I learned this the day I flipped a negotiation without raising my voice. She expected me to defend myself. I stayed quiet. She filled the air with her own rationalizations, each one exposing her intent. By the time I spoke, all I had to do was name what she'd already revealed. Another time, a man who wronged me apologized before I confronted him. I gave him nothing but a steady look and a long pause. Silence did the work I once tried to do with speeches. Watch the signs. Watch how they lean in when you lean back, how their laughter gets louder when you don't join it, how their questions sharpen when you answer slower. People tell you who they are when you stop telling them who you are. Silence is not a void. It's an active force. Use it like a chess move. Wait. Watch. Strike with a single line when it matters. The less you speak, the more every word becomes a blade. You're no longer reacting. You're directing. You're no longer prey. You're a mirror they can't read. This is not about cruelty. It's about clarity. Words are costly. You are learning to spend them like a miser, not a beggar. Every withheld reply is a brick in your fortress. Every pause is a window through which you can see them, but they cannot see you. Now you're ready. We'll walk into the fire of escalation and see how silence holds. In the next phase, it won't just be a shield or a strategy. It will be a pressure they cannot bear, a force that makes them show their truest face. Stay with me. The lesson deepens from here. Silence becomes terrifying when they realize they can't control it. I face her in the kitchen, the soft light slicing across the tiles like a blade. Her voice is sharp as broken glass, brittle and dangerous. You stand behind my eyes, feeling the tremor in my chest, the pulse under my skin. You feel my restraint like a blade I've turned inward, holding it steady so it won't cut me. The air tastes metallic. She paces, hands clenched, eyes darting for a reaction. Once I would have given her one. A raised voice, an explanation, a confession to soothe the storm. Not now. My heartbeat thunders against my ribs, but my stillness is louder. This is the conflict, her unpredictable outbursts against my steady refusal to react. My body wants to move, to speak, to defend. My will forces it still. This is the law of the breaking point, when your silence forces their mask to slip. They've built an image, a performance, a carefully crafted persona, but performance requires an audience. When you stop feeding them your reactions, the stage collapses. The person behind the mask emerges, raw and unguarded. I paint you the scene so you'll recognize them. The slammed doors. The accusations thrown like knives into the quiet. The desperate texts stacking up on my phone, each one sharper than the last. How every moment I stayed silent, their chaos revealed itself. At first it's subtle. A flicker of confusion, a delayed reply, a pause before the next question. Then it builds. The voice rises, the gestures grow erratic. You see the pacing, the sudden tears, the angry emojis and messages, the last attempts to provoke you. Silence is no longer a pause. It's a mirror showing them themselves. Do not break, I whisper. This is when silence does its darkest work. It isn't about punishing them. It's about revealing what's already there. When you stop giving them a script, they start improvising. And improvisation reveals truth. I remember the night her mask cracked. We were in that same kitchen. She slammed the cupboard door so hard it rattled the glasses. She hurled my secrets into the air, words I'd once given her in moments of trust, trying to wound me with my own confessions. Each word was a hook thrown at me, desperate to pull me back into the game. My lips stayed shut. My eyes held hers, calm, unblinking. For the first time, she looked small, like a child caught mid-tantrum. Power shifted forever in that moment, not because I'd shouted, but because I hadn't. Your silence at this stage is no longer just self-control. It's pressure. Every second you don't react is a weight pressing on them, forcing their hidden self to the surface. They will throw everything at you, sweetness, anger, guilt, tears, accusations, even your own words twisted back at you. Each is a test. Each is an attempt to drag you out of your center. Stay in the center. Stay in the quiet. I know how it feels inside you. Your pulse is a drum. Your breath feels shallow. Your thoughts claw at the edges of your calm, begging to be released as speech. This is the threshold. If you cross it, if you break, everything resets. They win. If you hold it, even for a few seconds more, something irreversible begins. They see themselves. They see their tactics failing. And in that failure, they reveal their deepest motives. Silence at this stage is not passive. It's active, deliberate, surgical. It's the tension of a bowstring pulled back but not yet released. You're not retreating. You're preparing. You're letting their chaos define itself until the pattern is unmistakable. Only then do you choose your next move. Remember the signs, the pacing, the sudden tears, the messages flooding your phone late at night, the shift from confidence to pleading. Each is a signal that the mask is slipping, that your silence is working. You're not responsible for their unraveling. You're responsible only for your own steadiness. When she screamed my secrets into the air, I felt something inside me harden and soften at once. Harder in resolve, softer in detachment. The hooks she threw no longer found flesh. They fell at my feet. My silence became a wall she couldn't climb, a mirror she couldn't bear to look into. That night, the power shifted forever. After the storm, I murmur, comes the revelation. This is the moment where silence transforms from awkward restraint into undeniable presence. This is the threshold between self-mastery and dominance, between reaction and direction. You've walked through fire. You've held the blade without cutting yourself. On the other side waits a clarity you've never known, and a new way of moving in the world. Stay with me. We're almost there. Silence doesn't just hide your power. It builds it. I am at the edge of my old self. The talker, the explainer, the man who mistook noise for connection. That version of me stands behind a thin veil now, like a ghost pacing in a room I've already left. You stand beside me, ready to cross over. She fades into the background, her tactics broken, her voice distant. The stage she built for me has collapsed, and I am standing where there are no lines to deliver, no script to follow. This is the conflict now, the temptation to speak one last time versus the mastery of never needing to. There's a strange sweetness in the urge to have the final word, to punctuate the silence with some declaration of victory. But that sweetness is poison. It's the last hook of the old self trying to drag me back. My fingers twitch with it. My throat feels the weight of 1,000 unsaid things. Yet I hold them. And in holding them, I feel a strength that isn't brittle anymore. It's woven through me, quiet and alive. This is the law of inner mastery. The moment silence becomes identity, not tactic. Up until now, it's been an act of discipline, a deliberate withholding, a practice against instinct. Here, at the turning point, it becomes something else. It stops feeling like a cage and starts feeling like air. It stops being an effort and starts being who you are. I describe the shift to you because I want you to recognize it when it arrives. In the beginning, silence felt like starvation. Every withheld word felt like denying myself oxygen. But now it feels like breathing. It feels like freedom. I don't have to remind myself to stay quiet. The urge to speak simply dissolves. The noise of the world still swirls around me, questions, provocations, accusations, but it no longer penetrates. It's like standing behind glass, watching a storm rage without feeling the wind. And with that shift, the world changes. Watch the signs. Watch the respect in their eyes when you stop explaining. Watch how space opens around you without you raising your voice. People lean in, but not to feed on you anymore. They lean in because silence has made you rare. You command a presence that is both soft and immovable, like stone beneath velvet. Do not rush this, I caution. True silence is not a trick. It's not a weapon to pick up and put down at will. It's the death of your old self, the one addicted to being understood, the one who fed others your soul in little words. Let that self die slowly. Grieve it if you must, but don't resurrect it with one last speech. I stand before them all now. Her, him, the friends who once took and took. I say nothing. My eyes are steady, my breathing calm. The room, once full of noise, stretches out around me like a cathedral. They shift under the weight of it. They speak to fill it, their voices sounding smaller with each word. And everything changes, not because I acted, but because I didn't. The silence is no longer my shield. It is my shape. This is the turning point. The moment when silence is no longer a strategy, but a signature. It's not a pause between words. It's the end of needing words. It's the point where you don't even crave the satisfaction of watching them unravel. You don't need to win because there's nothing left to lose. When you reach this place, you'll see how little effort it takes to hold power. No raised voice, no explanation, no performance. Just presence, dense, quiet, undeniable. The temptation to speak fades like smoke. The hunger for validation dissolves. What remains is a stillness so complete it feels like truth. Now you know the hidden law. Only one step remains, to live it. In the final stage, silence will move from a moment you choose to a life you embody, and from that life every word you do speak will echo like thunder. Silence is not retreat. It's your darkest, purest form of power. I speak directly to you now. No more stories, no more examples from the past. Just the law and its cost. You've seen how silence can protect, how it can shift power, how it can unravel even the most calculated mask. And yet, I know the tension you feel, the urge to fill the air, to explain, to make yourself known. That urge will never vanish completely. It is part of being human. But mastery is learning to resist it. This is the law of lifelong practice. Silence as a way of being, not a momentary tactic. It is not enough to hold your tongue during tests. Silence must become the default state of your presence. It is armor, not a pause. It is a shield against manipulation, a scalpel for clarity, a force that sharpens perception. Every word you withhold is a brick in the fortress of your mind. Every pause is a lens that magnifies truth from the chaos around you. You'll notice the world leaning in. People will talk faster, overshare, reveal the hidden threads of their intentions without even realizing it. You'll hear what was buried beneath casual conversation, the small confessions, the slips, the silent admissions. In those moments, your power is not in what you do, but in what you allow to emerge in the absence of your voice. Silence transforms the ordinary into revelation. Start small. Withhold one answer. Pause before you respond. Let discomfort bloom in the empty spaces. Each hesitation is practice. Each restraint builds a tension they cannot anticipate. The world will push, probe, test. Let it. Let your stillness work quietly, invisibly, like gravity pulling everything into order. You will feel the subtle shifts, the small tremors of influence spreading without a word. Imagine yourself now, silent in the moment you'd normally explain. Feel the old impulse rise, demanding to speak. Let it pass. Notice how the room tilts, how attention sharpens, how energy bends to your restraint. This is not acting. This is not posturing. This is becoming. In that stillness, you sense the boundaries of your own power for the first time. Calm, precise, untouchable. This is not the end. Master this one hidden law, and the next will reveal itself. Each law builds upon the last, but none can be fully realized without the foundation of silence. Protect your mind, sharpen your perception, starve manipulation, and let the world reveal itself to you in the quiet. This is your beginning. Stand in it, live it, and remember, the darkest, purest power is the power you do not announce.